Good morning, students. We are back again to take the second year English for you. Previously, yesterday, I had done note making, dialogue writing, and description. I had explained to you how to go about writing because it's very easy for you to score good marks. Though, as per the IP board, 92.5 is the cutoff, because for any descriptive, we are not supposed to give full marks. Yet students are getting 98. This is the way you present it well, your neat handwriting, clear. All this makes a good impression on the examiner, and that's when you can stand to get full marks. So children, whatever you do, don't be in a hurry to write. Nothing comes out of the book. Everything is related to your textbook. If you're thorough with the textbook, it should not, even though if it's lengthy also, you should be able to complete your paper well in time and also have time for you to revise your paper. This is very, very important. You need to revise what you have written, because there are times when you write a wrong answer, or sometimes there are chances that you have missed out anything. See that you write your full paper, and where there are objectives, it's better that you write all with, even though they give you choice, whether it's filling forms, comprehension, vocabulary, stress marking, filling in forms, all these are objectives. It takes you a second to complete your the answer. So don't leave out the choice question, because we do not penalize the child. Even if you write all the say 8 or 6 or whatever words are given, we give correct all and we give the marks accordingly. Like in punctuation, you have to write any 8. Write more than 8. 10 if necessary. Filling in forms, you have to write 8. Write all the 10. In comprehension, you have to write 4 when there are 6 given. Attempt all. Like I said, if you have attempted only 4 and by chance, if one answer is wrong, you stand to lose a mark. So why should you lose a mark, child? Try as far as possible to attempt all of them. So now, like I have said, in note making, go in for a diagram rather than writing the headings, subheadings, and all that. When you write a diagram, like I said, descriptive, they don't give full marks. But for a diagram, you can stand a chance of getting full marks. Likewise, in writing description, I've told you where it comes to process writing, write the sequence markers, underline it, and give a very good impression on the examiner. Next thing, it is the dialogue writing. Like I have mentioned earlier in dialogue writing, that the common mistakes made by y'all when it comes to the dialogue between a customer and a salesman. You want to exchange your defective, any defective goods, whether it is electronic, apparel, or anything. Please remember, when you go to return the goods, first thing that you have to show is the receipt. Where the salesman is sure to ask you, without the receipt, it cannot be exchanged. So this should be mentioned by you. Another thing, the dialogue between a doctor and a customer, a patient, where many children have the tendency to write every detail except the detail where it regards the fees. Fees of the doctor is to be mentioned. You needn't mention the amount if you don't want, but just after saying thank you, when he gives you the prescription and tells you how to go about eating which tablet, you just say thank you, and then you ask him, how much do I need to pay you? That's enough. If you want, you can mention in the next line, the doctor saying 200 or 500, that is immaterial. But the question where you ask the doctor how much his fees is to be given is very, very essential. These are some of the common mistakes made by the children. Now, today I thought we shall do the comprehension passages. We have already done it well, but remember, children, these are the places where you can score the maximum marks. When it comes to comprehension, you should keep in mind 2 or 3 things. One is skimming, and the other is scanning. Any passage where you don't have to learn by heart. Now, annotations and question and answers, you should have the general idea. If you're writing in your own words, if you're mugging up, you have to learn it by heart. So the process is different. But in the comprehension passage, you don't have to learn it by heart. If you understand what the idea is, that's enough. So you skim through the passage and pick out the important points, and then read the question, understand it. Usually in junior inter, there is a twist, but usually senior inter, it is straight, direct question. So it should be very easy for you to find the answer. Next thing that you keep remember is it carries only 1 mark. When it carries 1 mark, you have to write appropriately. 1 mark means 1 word or maximum 1 sentence. Remember, many children write paragraphs. If you write a paragraph, it is there may be a eccentric examiner who may not give you marks if you write a paragraph, because comprehension, the word comprehend means understanding. Comprehend means understanding. I'm not saying the answer is not there in the passage. In the paragraph, the answer is there, either in the first line or the last line or somewhere in the center. But basically, it means you have not comprehended the question, and that's why you have written lengthy. When it carries 1 mark, it means 1 word, maximum 1 sentence. If it is lengthy, you write it in your own words, especially direct speech and everything. You're not supposed to copy it. You change it to reported speech and write it accordingly. So now coming to the exercises, shall we go? Only thing, remember all this: skimming, scanning, and very brief answers. First thing, when you get the passage, read the passage carefully. Read the following passage carefully and answer any 4 questions given after it in a word or very clearly it says, given after it in a word or a sentence. Yet children write paragraphs. And like I said, though he says answer 4, here there are 6 questions. It hardly takes you a second to write any other 2 question and answers. So like I said, attempt all the question and answers. Now this is from non-detail, the lesson Doctor's Word by R.K. Narayan. In his busy round of work, Dr. Raman had not noticed that Gopal had not called in for over 3 months now. He just remembered it when he saw Gopal's son sitting on the bench in the consulting hall one crowded morning. Dr. Raman could not talk to him for over an hour. When he got up and was about to pass on to the operation room, he called up the young man and asked, "What brings you here, sir?" The youth was nervous and shy. "Mother sent me here. What can I do for you?" "Father is ill." Another thing, in junior inter, it's usually asked, but even y'all should be aware when it is from non-detail, sometimes they will ask you the name of the lesson from which this passage is and who the author is. Though they haven't asked here, you have to be sure about it. It's Doctor's Word by R.K. Narayan. Okay, now going on to the question. What was Dr. Raman? What was that Dr. Raman had not noticed? What had he not noticed? That Gopal had not called for over 3 months. He had not realized, till he saw Dr. Gopal's son, he had not realized that Gopal had not called him for over 3 months. How did Dr. Raman remember what he had not noticed earlier? He had understood when he saw Gopal's son sitting on a bench. Okay, he realized when he saw the boy sitting there. What kind of young boy was Gopal's son? The description, it's given here. He was nervous and shy. Like I said, all direct questions. There's no twist over here. So it should be easy for you to get 4 out of 4. What was the problem that made Gopal's son visit Dr. Raman? His father was ill. Don't write father is ill. You have to change it to reported speech. His father was ill. Write the phrase from the passage that shows Dr. Raman was always busy. Phrase, busy round of work. Phrase is a group of words which makes sense but not the complete sense because it usually doesn't have a verb. Write the part of speech of the word round in busy round of work. It's a noun. So understood, children? Direct questions, there's nothing except for this grammar part where he asks you what busy round of work is. Everything is in the passage. Now coming on to the next, this is an unseen passage from your book. Whom to salute? When Dr. Abdul Kalam was the president, he visited Field Marshal Sam McInshaw, who was ailing in the military hospital, Konoor. He inquired about Sam's health and asked before leaving whether he had any grievance. Sam replied that his only grievance was he wasn't able to stand up and salute his most respected president. Kalam held Sam's hand as both were in tears. Actually, Sam didn't tell Kalam that he had not been paid the pension of the field marshal's rank till then for nearly 20 years. However, Kalam came to know about it and passed the pension with arrears within a week and sent the check of nearly 1.25 crores to Sam through the Defense Secretary by a special plane. That is the greatness of APJ. But then Sam received the check and promptly donated to the Army Relief Fund. Who will you salute now? Such a beautiful, some difficult words which you should know. The meaning that he had any resentment, arrears. Arrears are, suppose you have not been paid for many months. All the months together, the amount is paid. That is known as the arrears. What is to be given to you? Okay. First question, what did Kalam ask Sam before leaving him? What did he ask him? Whether he had any grievance. So before leaving, he asked him if he had any grievance. What was Sam's reply? His reply was that he wasn't able to stand up and salute the most respected president. His reply was that because he was ailing, he was on bed, he couldn't stand and salute. And that was his grievance. Was Sam still in service at that time? When do you get pension? When you have retired, and that too for nearly 20 years. This tells him that he was not in service for 20 years. Find the word from the passage that means money that is owed and should have been paid earlier. I just now explained to you, arrears. Arrears is money that is owed to you and should have been paid. Which act of APJ proves his greatness? Why do we say he needs to be saluted? Because when he learned about that he had not been passed, he passed it along with arrears, sent the check of 1.25 through the defense secretary in a special plane. It's a very big answer. Like I said, even when you cut it down, still it comes to 2 or more sentences, but then it is accepted because that whole thing makes sense. When he came to know that his that he hadn't been paid pension, he passed the pension with arrears and sent the check of so much, sent the check. If you want, you can mention that through Defense Secretary by a special plane. Next. Which act of, okay, we finished. The passage conveys the message that we should salute only one of the personalities mentioned in the passage. Say true or false. It is false because both are equally great. Abdul Kalam was great in the sense when he came to know that Sam had not been paid his pension, paid with the arrears, sent it through the defense secretary by a special plane to him. And what was the greatness of Sam McKinshaw? He immediately donated to the Army Relief Fund. So both were equally great. You need to salute both of them. So the answer is false. It is not true. Third passage. The very word COVID spreads dread worldwide. But Dr. Annam Srinivasa Rao of Khammam stands out as an exception. Putting his life at risk, he served a large number of COVID patients in various ways. His organization served food and extended medical facilities to them while alive. When dead, the foundation arranged for transportation hundreds of bodies when their own families but of the people who needed his service. By looking after hundreds of disabled, both physically and mentally, often from far and near for over a decade, his organization, Annam Seva Foundation, Dhanavai Gudam Khammam, has redefined philanthropy. He was inspired into this service when he himself grew up in an orphanage. His struggles to secure some employment helped him master the art of taking everything in his stride. Thus, he continues his services undeterred by police cases, neighbors' wrath, financial constraints, etc. An unadmirable spirit indeed. So you should find out the meaning of abundant when they, because it is a COVID patient, even their own near and dear ones did not come to conduct the last rites. That is the funeral. Okay? And then, disabled, physically and mentally not sound, philanthropy, doing social act, and then wrath. Wrath is anger, constraints, financial, not having enough money, all this. So what makes one describe Dr. Annam Srinivasa Rao as the warrior who broke all barriers? What makes him called? Because he put his own life at risk to serve large number of COVID patients. So because no one comes forward, and COVID was such a dreaded word that everyone backed out. Like I said, when they own families also did not claim the body after they died because they were so scared. But he put his own life at risk to serve a large number of people. How does the world respond to the word COVID? According to the passage, it spreads dread. Everyone is scared, dread, scared, fearful. Why was Dr. Annam Srinivas Rao worried when he was tested positive? When he was tested positive, he was not worried about himself, but of the people who needed his service. There were many people who depended on him. He helped the disabled orphans from far and near for over a decade. They were completely dependent on him. So when he was tested positive of COVID, he did not worry about himself, but he was worried who would look after his organization. Name the organization that he founded and its location. Annam Seva Foundation, and the location is Dhanavai Gudam Khammam. Location means the place. Why did Dr. Annam Srinivasa Rao choose this path? Why did he choose the path? Because being an orphan, he himself, when you're orphan, you know the difficulties that because he himself grew up in an orphanage. and he knew the difficulties of an orphan, and that's why he went out of the way to help these people. Pick out from the passage the one word substitute that means selfless service out of love for humanity. It's philanthropy. Philanthropy is when you go out of the way to help the poor and needed, is known as philanthropy. I was going to refuse out of She told the porter to look after my suitcase, and then she led me down the platform. Her hand was gentle. She held my hand neither too firmly nor too lightly. I looked up at her again. She was not young, but she was not old. This is from your non-detailed lesson, The Woman at Platform Number. Okay. Name the short story from which this passage is taken. That's what I didn't read that. The short story is from The Woman at platform number 8. What was Arun going to do? He was going to refuse out of shyness and suspicion. A stranger asking you that she would give snacks, immediately you have a suspicion, because your parents tell you not to talk with strangers, and most important, not to accept anything given by them. How did she hold his hand? She held his hand neither too firmly nor too lightly. How did Arun feel of taking back his hand away? He thought it would be silly to pull his hand away. What did she tell a porter? She asked the porter to look after Arun's suitcase. It's not mentioned here, but in the lesson, you know the lesson. So you should be, or you can say, she told the porter to look after the boy's suitcase. Don't use the word mine. Pick out the word from the passage which means tender, gentle. Okay, children, direct questions, but remember, from non-detail, sometimes they'll ask you the name of the lesson and the author. You should know it. Now, this is also from non-detail, from the lesson Lost. A French author. Do look at that lovely fur, the Baroness said, while her dark eyes expressed her pleasure. I must have it. But she looked at the white ticket on which the price was marked. 4,000 rubles, she said in despair. That is about 6,000 florins. Certainly, he replied. But what of that? It is a sum not worth mentioning in the presence of such a charming lady. So what attracted the attention of the Baroness? The lovely fur. What was there on the white ticket? White ticket is where the price is written. What was the price of the fur? Direct answers, 4,000 rubles. I must have it. Who does the word I refer to? The Baroness. See, children, it hardly takes you a second to do it. And that's why I said attempt all the answers. The lady could afford the lovely fur. Yes or no? No. Because she says it is 4,000 rubles, that is about, and she says it with despair. That means she cannot afford. Write the antonym from the passage of the word hope, despair. Understood, children? Here they didn't ask the name of the lesson or the author, but like I said, always be prepared. Don't leave out any question. Attempt all the questions that are asked. Bird lover of a rare kind. Penumaka Mahalakshmi, a man, please. Because usually Mahalakshmi means everyone thinks it's a lady. So that's why it's written in bracket, a man, please. Of Kadiyam in East Godavari district is a daily wage earner from a downtrodden community. Yet he has been feeding thousands of birds regularly for over 6 decades. He is now 72 and his service continues. He collects sheaves of paddy from farmers during the harvest time. He stores those paddy bundles in a nearby temple. Every evening, he picks up some ears of paddy and weaves them into ornamental tassels and hangs them from buildings. Birds in flocks feed on them joyously. On New Year's Day, he erects an arch near the temple and hangs some beautifully woven tassels from it. Thousands of chirping birds picking grain from that ornamental arch is a sight to behold. This rare act of real charity has seen the light of day as a National Best Teacher awardee. Mr. Chilkudi Srinivasa Rao, himself a lover of dogs and plants, feeds hundreds of stray dogs every day and planted over 1 lakh saplings so far, has written about Mahalakshmi in Praja Shakti, January 2021. Daily wage earner, a person who works on daily basis, like the mason you see when they are constructing building. You get work, you are paid them. You don't get work, there is no money that you receive. Daily wage, working every day and earning money. And then downtrodden community, that is the lower caste community. How does Penumaka Mahalakshmi make his living? As a daily wage earner. I said, isn't it? Next, how does Mahalakshmi find means to feed hundreds of birds every day? He himself doesn't get enough money, but how does he manage to get for the birds to feed? He collects sheaves of paddy from the farmers during harvest time. Sheaves of paddy. Usually you see when the harvest is done, there are some sheaves of paddy lying on the ground. So this is picked up by him, where he keeps it in the temple and every day weaves lovely tassels. Tassels are hangings. Okay? What is his art that attracts people's attention towards his charity? weaves them into ornamental tassels and hangs them. That also you can say on New Year's Day, he erects an arch. Arch is a semicircle thing over there and hangs some beautifully woven tassels from it. Thousands of chirping birds picking grains from that is a sight to behold. You can cut down. He builds an arch with some beautifully woven tassels and thousands of chirping birds picking grains from it is a sight to behold. How has Mahalakshmi's rare act of charity come to light? Because Mr. Chilkuli Srinivas Rao has written it in Prajashakti. Mr. Chilkuli Srinivasa Rao has written about Mahalakshmi in Prajashakti. Right? The idiom used in the passage to mean become publicly known. Publicly known. Has seen the light of the day. Seen the light of day is known as come to light. Publicly known. Write the word used in the passage that forms a set of homophones from sight. This sight means area. Sight. To set an example. The third is SIGHT, sight, to see. A sight to behold. It's written there. Sight to behold. Okay? Going on to the next. This is again from non-detail. Della's white fingers quickly opened the package and then at first a scream of joy followed by a quick feminine change to tears. For there lay the combs, the set of combs side and back that Della had seen in a Broadway window and liked so much. They were beautiful combs, so expensive, and they were hers now. But alas, the hair in which she was to wear them was sold and gone. She took them up lovingly, smiled through her tears, and said, "My hair grows so fast, Jim." This is from the lesson, The Christmas Gift. Written by William Sidney Potter. Who is known as, whose pen name is O. Henry. O. Henry is a popular writer, and pen name is when you don't want your name to be known to others. Like in those days, olden days, many were not accepting when they used to take up arts. So William Sidney Potter also did not want his near and dear ones to know, so took up the name of O. Henry. So let's go on to the questions. Who gave the package to Della? Jim gave the package. Her spouse, her husband, gave the package to Della. What was Della's reaction at first? At first, a scream of joy. You don't have to write it changed to tears, because here he clearly says her reaction at first. How did her joy change? It changed to tears. What did Della find in the package? What did she find? The combs, the set of combs, side and back. Okay, you don't have to mention which she had seen in Broadway window. Where had she seen the combs earlier? Now you say, seen in a Broadway window. The combs were inexpensive. True or false? So expensive. So here it is inexpensive is not right. It was expensive, not inexpensive. So it is false. Now coming to the next passage, pencil preaches. What is the meaning of preach? When you talk, when you say something, like in the childhood, I have given you the example, parents and teachers usually say, be honest, be truthful. These are preaching, telling them something to follow, the good things. Here, pencil teaches us many things. It may seem very insignificant, but it teaches 6 great lessons. Pencil seems to be little, but teaches 6 great lessons of life. Surprising? See how the pencil suffers a little when we use a sharpener, but afterwards it's much sharper. So let's learn to bear certain pains and sorrows, because they will make us better persons. Next, 2, it allows us to use an eraser to rub out mistakes. This means correcting something we did is not necessarily a bad thing. It helps us to keep on the right path. Third, what really matters in it is not its wooden exterior, but the graphite inside. So let's always pay attention to what is happening inside us. Fourth, it always leaves a mark. In just the same way, everything we do in life will leave a mark. So let's try to be conscious of that in every action of ours. Next, it gets shorter and shorter with use. So does life. Let's make the most of it while it lasts. And finally, it writes till the end. Let's try to be useful and productive till the end. So, what are the questions asked here? We stop writing with the pencil now and then. Why? Because the pencil has become blunt. It needs to be sharpened. What is the result of bearing pains and sorrows? They will make us better persons. And that is why we need to bear pains and sorrows. Is correcting something we did a bad thing? No, not necessarily a bad thing, because it helps us to keep on the right path. What matters most in a pencil? The graphite inside. What is inside the pencil? Why should we be conscious of every action of us? Because it will leave a mark. And that's why you should be conscious of that every action of us. We use the pencil till the end, right? True or false? It is true. We use it till the end. And that's why it is true. Next. Ready, steady, go. The referee announced the beginning of a race. 1 second. Sorry, that's what we skipped one. It is this. The lady felt giddy and sank down on the floor, unable to bear the strain. The nurse attended to her and led her out. At about 8 in the evening, the patient opened his eyes and stirred slightly in the bed. The assistant was overjoyed. He exclaimed enthusiastically, "Sir, he will pull through." The doctor looked at him coldly and whispered, "I would give anything to see him pull through, but the heart." So here again, it is from the lesson, Doctor's Word. We have already come across it. Doctor's Word by R.K. Narayan. When you come across a passage from the non-detail, you should know the name of the lesson as well as the author. Recollect the lesson, because sometimes some questions are asked where the answer is not there in the book. Who does the phrase "the lady" refer to in the passage? Just like I said, the lady here is not mentioned. Who is it? She is the patient's wife. Where is the patient is mentioned? Or you can say, since you have read the book, Gopal's wife. That is why I said, you should know the passage from which lesson, who the author is, because sometimes they ask you questions which are not there in the passage. She is Gopal's wife. Why did she sink down on the floor? She was unable to bear the strain, and that's why she sank down on the ground. When did the patient open his eyes? At about 8 in the evening, the patient opened his eyes. Why was the assistant overjoyed? Because he thought he would pull through, that he was getting better, and that's why he was overjoyed. Analyze the word enthusiastically into its root and suffixes. Here is a model. Slightly, root and suffix. Likewise, enthusiast, plus IAST, suffix, plus IC, suffix, plus AALY. Again, suffix. Okay? Write the phrasal verb from the passage that means get better after a serious pull through. Pull through is the phrase that means get better after a serious illness. The next passage. Ready, steady, go. The referee announced the beginning of the race. A basket of sweets was placed near a tree, and the participating African tribal children were made to stand 100 meters away. The winner of the race would get all the sweets in the basket. Everyone there was anxious to see the winner. To their surprise, all the participants held one another's hand, ran together towards the tree, and divided the sweets equally among themselves. When the amazed referee asked why they did so, all of them cried in one voice, Ubuntu, which meant, how can one be happy when others are sad? Ubuntu in their language means I am because we are. It is a strong message for all generations. Let's all have this attitude and spread happiness wherever we go. Yes, it is definitely a very good message sent to mankind, because basically mankind is very selfish. Especially you see the fights between brothers and sisters, especially when it comes to presents of chocolates. They fight among themselves. So this is a very good message. Come on, first one. What was the target in the race? It was the sweets in the basket. To which continent did the participants belong? Here they did not say, but here the word African tribal children. So it means Africa. It belonged to the continent Africa. The referee was amazed because no one tried to run the race. True or false? It is false, because all of them ran, but they ran together, not separately. But they here he says, because no one tried to run. That is false. What does the word Ubuntu mean in the native language? It means I am because we are. So that is the meaning of Ubuntu. Pick the word from the passage that means a person who takes part in something. Participant. Here he says a person, but when you are picking the word, since it's written as participants, you can also write participants. Sharing increases happiness. Support the statement with a sentence in the passage. How can one be happy when the others are sad? This is sharing means increases happiness, which is from the statement which says, how can one be happy when others are sad? I asked for the office of the Dean, Dr. Lionel Loftus, FRCP. A porter showed me into a small bare waiting room decorated only with framed black and white pictures of past deans, which ran along the walls like a row of dirty ties. As there were no chairs, I sat on the edge of the dark, polished table and swung my legs. The surroundings and a week of my father's coaching had made me depressed and nervous. My mind was filled with awkward questions that Dr. Loftus was even then contemplating asking me, and I found to my surprise, I would give no satisfactory replies to any of them. I wondered what I should say if he simply asked me why I wanted to be a doctor. The answer was, I suppose, that neither my parents nor myself had the originality to think of anything else, but this didn't seem a suggestion likely to help me into the medical school. So what was the narrator looking for? He was looking for the office of the Dean, Dr. Lionel Loftus. He was looking for the office of the Dean. You don't even have to mention the Dean's name, Dr. Lionel Loftus. How was the room? It was a small, bare waiting room. What does bare mean? The meaning of bare is empty. There was nothing there. It was only decorated with photos, and there was only one dark polished table. So he says, small bare waiting room. A row of dirty tiles. What were those tiles? They were framed black and white pictures of past deans. What was those tiles? They were framed black and white pictures of past deans. Why was the narrator nervous? Because he had no satisfactory replies to give to any questions asked. He had no satisfactory replies to give. And that's why he was nervous. Pick out the word which means thinking about, thinking, contemplating. That is thinking. Pick out the phrase that means the narrator was tense, depressed, and nervous. This tells you that the narrator was tense. I think it's over. Okay. So we shall do passage 12 tomorrow, children. It's almost at the end of the hour. I hope you have understood. Comprehension, you can get all full marks, children, but don't leave out any choice. And regarding non-detailed passages, you should be aware of the lesson and the author also. Because though the passage is given, comprehension we pick out from the passage, there are some things that are asked which are not in the passage, especially the name of the author and the lesson from which it is taken. So we shall end over here. We have done 11 passages. I hope it makes your work very easy.